Welcome back. For those monitoring the news cycle last week, you would have heard of the scenario coming out of Guyana with, well, at least the denial of a local powerhouse within the energy space. Ramps Logistics, their CEO, Shaun Rampersad, joins me now. And I can safely say, when it comes to energy sector business, Ramps, they're in the conversation. Now, in that regard, the Guyana Local Content Act states that any company operating within Guyana's energy sector must have a local content certificate to operate. Ramps went about to apply, and they were denied. The CEO is on with us this morning to give us some more details. I'm glad you're back in one piece. Welcome, Shaun. Great to have you on with us. Welcome. Good morning.
Hey, JW, thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'm watching again, going through the research here, and as mentioned, the Local Content Act in Guyana suggests that that certification must be readily available to operate. Ramps Logistics, Guyana Inc., so it was registered company in Guyana there, was denied certification without giving any information as to why this decision was made. Since that decision was made over the weekend, have you heard anything? Is there any new developments as to why this denial took place?
No, GW. So far, we haven't heard anything, but I'm very hopeful that this week that we will.
What gives you that sense of hope?
I think it's a lot of the conversations that took place post the press that took place on Thursday, right? I've been seeing a lot of constructive conversations taking place in the press, different things coming from different people in private sector, and I think it started a decent conversation, and that's one of the things that we really wanted to happen as well. So I'm hopeful that we have progress this week.
Do you think the company is more or less, is a victim of sometimes the geopolitics and the back and forth that takes place? Now, obviously, the Prime Minister and his team went up recently to weather the storm, to shake hands, to have conversations, but we all know there's been this underlying tension sometimes between Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana when it comes to business. They have particular requests, they have particular demands that they find we are not adhering to. We have particular requests and demands. The ease of doing business is a whole different conversation, and to top that, with energy and the energy industry now on the rise, there would naturally be interest from Trinidad and Tobago companies like Ramps to go across there to conduct affairs. Do you think that you are caught up in the eye of that storm?
Yeah, so, I mean, and that's one of the reasons why we had the presser, right? Because at this point, nobody knows for sure what caused the problem, because we just haven't heard, right? So the first thing is that we really want to hear from the Local Content Secretariat, to say, hey, listen, you've been denied a certificate because of X, Y, and Z. I think the Guyana-Trinidad relationship is a complex one. At this point, my only concern, or my main concern, is to make sure we secure the livelihoods of the 400 plus people who we have operating there in the country. And there are a lot of lessons learned coming out of this whole thing. There are things that needs to be done better on both sides, right? We need to improve some things on the Trinidadian side. We need to improve some things on the Guyanese side to make this relationship work better. But I will say to you, JW, that at this point especially, we are not discussing anything around the legality of the law or whether the law is a good law or a bad law. As I said, as a Trinbagonian, I don't think I'm in a position to pontificate to anybody in Guyana as to what to put into the law. The law is the law, and the law is already there. What I'm asking is to follow the law that the government of Guyana has put in place. And by the way, whether people like it or not, the government of Guyana took strong steps to protect their local content and to protect their industry in Guyana. And there may be some things that Trinidad could learn from that as well, by the way, to be very honest with you, right? But at this point, the law is already in place, and we are simply saying, we feel like we followed everything about the law. If we followed everything with the law, we are just asking for an answer, and we are saying to you, if you find that there was something that we did that was not in full compliance with the law, please tell us what it is and give us a chance to become compliant. And I just don't feel as that ask is too much.
Let me ask you, though, is your denial making way for somebody else, for another company's approval, or is it still very much the role and function and the particular task ahead that clearly Ramps logistics could handle and bring success to the sector.
Yeah,
is it now being given to somebody else, or is it still in the balance for everyone? Because I'm sure others would have been also.
Yeah, if Ramps does not get its local content certificate and cannot operate as a powerhouse in the logistics sector in Guyana, I mean, obviously, somebody else will benefit from that, right? But I'll tell you, Guyana will lose out from it. And I mean that sincerely, right? Because everybody understands that what builds an industry, what builds a country is top-class competition, fair competition, and good competition. So I think Ramps being in Guyana has improved the overall logistics industry in Guyana. And every single logistics company has benefited from Ramps being there. We've brought technology. We always say people, process, and technology, right? So we have really good people there. We've brought some great processes, great technology, and we've worked very closely with the different authorities in Guyana to put things in place to really support this emerging energy industry in Guyana. So I think, yes, JW, to answer your question, there will be other logistics companies who will benefit in the short term from Ramps not being there. But I sincerely believe that Guyana as a country and Guyana's logistics industry will lose out if Ramps is not there.
You know, when it comes to business and people wanting and that desire to land a big deal, land a big contract, obviously there are those who are willing to bend corners, cut corners, do things that might be deemed as unacceptable. I know obviously that's not your mantra, that's not your business model. Do you think it's a situation where probably there might be certain personalities or people there probably expecting that kind of transaction to take place?
Yeah, and I mean, those things happen all over the world, right? Included here in Trinidad, and that's one of the big things that we have to do in the Caribbean as Caribbean people, you know. First, to grow world-class industries, we have to improve the ease of doing business. And we need people to grow top-notch businesses because of the strength of the businesses and not who they know and so on, right? And I think that situation is something that has to be dealt with in Guyana. I think there's been a lot of conversation in the media recently. You know, Vice President Jagdeo came out very strongly after that Vice News report and said, you do not need to pay bribes in Guyana. You do not have to use fixers. You do not have to use middlemen, right? And I believe him when he says that. I believe when he says that. And I've said in the Guardian report yesterday, you know, Ramps is a good example of that, right? We've been there for 9 years, JW. 9 years, and we've never paid a single bribe. You talk to any of our 400 people there, right? They will tell you clearly that that is our culture. We do not pay bribes. So can you grow a massive multi-million-dollar business in Guyana without paying bribes? Yes, you can. But at the same time, I have to tell you that it's not easy to do so, because you have people coming at you every single day saying, listen, if you use me to do X, Y, and Z, you wouldn't have any problems. I could clear your way for you, etc., etc. And that happens. Here's the challenge when you don't do them. They also try to make it more difficult for you. So they say by paying me, it becomes easier, and by not paying, it makes it more difficult. And I think the stance of the government of Guyana to say that you can do business without paying bribes, that we will do everything to eliminate middlemen and fixers and so on, that's the way to go. And I'm really looking forward to making sure we get that going and doing everything we possibly can to support that effort of the government.
I'm glad you said that, because, you know, when we consider the unscrupulous practices of some, not all, it really begs the question as to how can the industry grow? How can it can do so much more? And I'm sure sometimes, you know, as you said, when it's put to you in that kind of way, pay me, I'll make it easy. Don't pay is going to be hard. That could itself have a massive toss-up in any business interest or business person's mind. But I'm glad that you all went about it above board.
Yeah, and that's a cancer of the business society, and I can't emphasize that enough. Right, for too long, that has been a norm in the Caribbean. Right, you know, you pay your bribes, you get your stuff done, and we are seeing, you know, with the advent of social media, with that sort of access to the media, you know, that a free, strong media is one of the biggest insurances against those things, and we have to protect that and make sure we realize how sacred a free and independent media is as well.
Mr. Rampersad, for those looking on and they've always heard the name mentioned, Ramps Logistics, they kind of have a basic understanding as to what you do. I want to give you the opportunity to really break down as to what you all do and what you all bring to the energy sector and what you all bring to the table.
Sure, thank you very much. And you know, we are an integrated logistics company, right? So if for example, you had something going on in Trinidad with a rig drilling offshore, you'd have a whole supply chain associated with that. You have people, you have equipment that needs to come in, you have stuff coming in from all over the world, coming into country, going to the different shore bases in the country. There are boats moving that equipment between the shore bases and the rigs. There are items coming back from the rigs to get back to countries all across the world, to companies in different countries all across the world. And what Ramps does, that we also we put the people and the resources, and we make sure that every piece of material is in the right place at the right time, so that you can keep drilling your well, or that you can keep running your factory, or you can keep selling from your store. So our job is to make sure that when our customers need an item, or when they need the right person in the right place at the right time in order to deliver a good or service, that we are always ensuring that they have those people or those goods in place to deliver those services.
And in that regard, for the operation then Guyana, if this decision to uphold this denial of the certification, does it mean that Ramps will have to leave the shores, leave South America, leave the Guyana mainland and come back to Trinidad for your 400 staff?
If our local content certificate is denied, we will not leave Guyana. What it does mean, though, is that it will significantly curb our business. And as I said to my team over the weekend, you know, what it will take us 1 year to build in Guyana, it will take us probably another 5 years, right? But we are committed to Guyana. We are committed to our people there, right? And we do business outside of the oil and gas sector in Guyana as well. But the major chunk of our business is within the oil and gas sector.
What's the general mood within the camp right now? What's the staff saying to you? What you're telling your staff to alleviate any kind of uncertainty?
I got to tell you, that's been a really positive part of this whole thing, right? So, you know, in Ramps, we have this thing called a culture of defer to open, right? You have to justify why you shouldn't share information versus you should just really share it. So early on last week, we had a town hall meeting with our teams, and we shared every single thing with them, you know, every document that we submitted to the local content certificate, all our financials, all our confidential data, we made it open to the entire team. And we said, guys, this is where we are at. This is the challenge that we are facing. You are an integral part of this, and we want to give you a heads up as to what is going on and give you an idea of what we plan to do, and tell us what your ideas are about how we could help solve the situation. And we got a lot of really great feedback. And if you look online, at our social media, a lot of our team members have been talking about their own personal experiences with Ramps, why they work with Ramps, what our culture stands for. And I mean, this thing has really served to unite our team. I can't tell you, there's so many people who reached out to me over the last week, and not just my employees, or not just my partners in Ramps, but also our customers as well, you know, expressing support, saying how grateful they are. I mean, there's some stuff online from some of our vendors in Guyana who we've worked with from day one. You know, there was this guy who had a taxi company, and he started off with one taxi. We worked with him. We helped him to build up his management system, his HSE system. And now he has, I mean, quite a few cars and so on. And he would have gone online and talked about his experience. So I feel like it really gave people a chance to express themselves and talk about what Ramps meant to them, how it has helped them grow. And it's been a real eye-opener. I learned quite a few things over the last week as well.
How many make up the Ramps team? What's the population of the staff?
Across the Caribbean, across the entire group, it's almost, I think, more than 800 people now. We're in offices in Trinidad, Guyana, Suriname, Houston, Miami, Mexico City, and Colombia. Those are our own Ramps offices. And then we have partner agents in nearly every major country in the world. So it's quite an organization.
As it pertains to the local content certificate issue, at what point would you get a definitive word? At what point we'll know for sure what's the outcome there, if indeed they will reconsider? There might be some change of heart, change of a business mind. Well, obviously the law can change, so it clearly boils down to somebody signing off with a pen. At what point we'll know?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we get some feedback this week. And again, the feedback I'm hoping for is, guys, you were denied your certificate because of A or B or C, and that we have a chance to fix that, right? Because I feel like, we've engaged with senior counsel in Guyana. Our law firm over there has been doing a lot of work on this thing for the last few months. This is not something that came at us yesterday or the day before. We've been preparing for it for a long time, keeping an eye on what was going on in the Legislative Assembly in Guyana. And we feel very confident that with our senior counsel in Guyana, and we've gotten, feedback from different law firms across the region, that we have stuck to the law, that we have not broken any laws, that we have complied with the law. So I'm really, really hopeful that, maybe there was something inside it that we missed out, but I'm hopeful that we could get it fixed and that we could get this thing moving and that we could get our team settled down and working fully again.
Shaun, I'll give you a chance to put forward your closing remarks. Go right ahead.
No, I just want to thank you for being on the program, JW. And from my side, I feel like whenever there's a law in place, everybody has to follow the law and they have to comply with the law. But I also think it's important that for everybody, whether you're in Guyana, whether you're in the Caribbean, that we all have the right to challenge statutory bodies and to ask for reasons. No statutory body, whether it's in Guyana or Trinidad or anywhere else, is above the law. And if they take a decision that affects the livelihoods of hundreds of people, then we should be able to hold that statutory body accountable and say, why did you make that decision? And we should have a legal means to challenge that decision if we are not happy with the decision taken. And I feel very confident that the government of Guyana will uphold that, and they will make sure that statutory bodies in Guyana are accountable to the people.
Thank you so much, Shaun Rampersad, CEO of Ramps Logistics. Keep us posted and give us, as you get an update, let us know what's happening.
Thank you, JW, and you have a good day, my brother.
Same to you.